Hello and welcome to another Figuring Out Japan video. We sell all the coolest Japanese collectibles and figurines straight out of Japan, and you can find out more details about us in the description of this video, including our eBay store and our Facebook page. So today we're going to be looking at the figure in front of you, which is a Super Saiyan Goku Ichiban Kuji, and this promotion figure was released along with the SCultures Series 1. So a lot of you have been eagerly anticipating the SCultures Series 5 that was released this year. Well, the very first series, Series 1, which came out a few years ago, also had two Ichiban Kujis, which were the lottery prizes that came out, and this was one of them, and the other one was the Freezer, which I'll show you a little bit later. So this was actually the A prize, which means it is actually the best prize, according to Banpresto, that you could win. And it's a pretty cool figure. I mean, obviously any Dragon Ball figurine collection is going to need a Super Saiyan Goku. And if you're like me and you like the Freezer saga the best, then this one's definitely a good one to consider for your collection. I just love the Freezer saga, I really do. And I mean, this scene to me resembles when he first becomes a Super Saiyan. I could be wrong on that, but I mean the sculptors always use like a reference picture, and if you Google like when Goku becomes a Saiyan for the first time, you'll notice that his stance actually looks very similar to that particular pose. So let's get into the figure. So like most Banpresto figures, it doesn't have any articulation, nor can this figure be detached from the base, so everything you see is as is. And I really like, the first thing I'll draw your attention to is the base. I really like this base, just all the like rocky details that you can see, and like the little patches of grass, things like that. It really it's not too often actually that you see figurines that come with a base, but to me the base actually just really gives it that extra sort of oomph, makes it seem a bit more genuine that he's actually on the planet Namek. You then have these three sort of yellow energy waves, and they do move a little bit, but as I said, they can't be detached, so at least they're not meant to be. You could always cut them off if you wanted to. I don't know why you would though, because I think it looks really cool. And I like how it doesn't sort of obstruct the view of Goku. It sort of goes around him and just adds to the effect. So I think that looks really cool. If I can get that back into focus, there we go. So as I said, you get three of them, and obviously the one at the back is a lot bigger, which makes sense because it's not going to obstruct his view since it's around the back. And then obviously the figure of Goku himself. So I really like the, as I said, this is when he first turns Super Saiyan, and he's obviously pretty beat up by this point. So you can see his clothes look really like tattered and torn and all that sort of stuff, so they did a really good job depicting all that. And some of the sort of lower quality figures, they might just have like one piece of cloth like down, but you can see here it's actually got like all the little folds and all the little rough parts coming out, so a lot of attention to detail has actually gone into that part to actually make it look genuine, that it has actually been torn off. And again up here you can see sort of all the tears, and his blue top like almost just sort of clinging to it. And from memory, after he turns Super Saiyan, he then just tears the rest of that top part off. Amazingly though, his wristbands are still perfectly intact, which also happens in this series. So that's pretty cool. I also like the colouring, the detail in the colouring. The different tones and the different shading. So rather than just like a monotone orange or a monotone red, it actually has different shades and toning, which I don't know if you can see that really well in the video, but I assure you that it does exist, and it does look really good in person, seeing all those sort of different shading and things. The blue, not so much. The blue is more or less a sort of monotone blue. It does vary a little bit, but it's pretty much just a monotone blue. And then obviously you've got all his muscles and all his details in there, and they look pretty realistic and pretty good. And then really cool facial expression. He's got that "I'm gonna beat the crap out of you" look on his face, and looks really good. And one of the best parts about this figure, I think, is the hair. I've never seen this actually on any other figure before, or that's been released since this one. It's a really nice metallic-y, shiny yellow, and it looks really good, because one, you actually do have, again, you have some sort of shading in there. It's not just a monotone yellow. It does have some sort of shading in there, but just the way it sort of shines off the sun and things like that, it looks really, it is actually shiny. I don't know what material they used, but it's a shame they haven't reused this material in other figures. It just, yeah, it's really smooth and really, yeah, it just looks really nice. It's a little bit glittery as well, and just, yeah, it's a great feature. It really, for me, it's my favorite part of this figure. So, and remember, the Super Saiyan's meant to be the legendary golden fighter, not the yellow fighter, so it really looks good. Now, the only thing I don't particularly like about this figure is that it doesn't have any blood on it. And, you know, since he's like really beaten up and really worn down, and his clothes are all tattered, you'll notice that his skin is like perfectly smooth. There's no scratches, there's no blood, there's no anything on it. So I think that was one level of detail that they just completely, I don't know, overlooked or decided not to do. And it kind of looks strange, really. I mean, he's sort of all like beaten up, but then his skin just looks really smooth. The other odd thing is that, and you might snigger at this, but he's missing his nipple. And, I mean, humans have nipples, right? Even guys. So it looks kind of strange. It kind of looks unhuman that he's missing the nipple. And the fact that he doesn't have any, like, blood or marks on his skin to distract you from that, it really makes the whole, like, skin part here look very kind of bare. And, or very kind of smooth and out of place with the sort of rest of the body and rest of the scene. So that's the one improvement that I really would have liked to have seen with this figure, just to, you know, make it look better, but there you go. The other thing is they could have made the eyes maybe a little bit meaner. They could have maybe made it a little bit more slim, or maybe had the eyes a little bit more angled. That's just one thing they could have done, but it still looks okay. But other than that, it's a really nice figure. I really like it. As a comparison for size, that is an iPhone 5 cover, so you can see it's, what, nearly 2 from the back of the hair, 1 3/4. So it's a relatively tall figure. And just to show you, so these were some of the other figures that were released in the line. So this was these were available in the Crane games. So Piccolo actually won that year with the voting, and then you had that. I love that figure, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I've reviewed these figures in separate videos, and then advertising for the second series that came out. So that's the Goku. I'll quickly show you in the box, but it's really not. There's really nothing interesting, to be honest, about the box. So it has obviously the plastic for it to sit in, but it's pretty much just an open box with the back and just the detail about the figure. And yeah, nothing very interesting there. Obviously, it has a gold toe animation sticker as well. And the Frieza figure that I was telling you about, so this was the B prize. So this was the Frieza. This is actually one of my favorite figures that's ever been released. Certainly my favorite Frieza figure. And it's hard to show when he's in the box, but he actually sits on a stand with an energy wave. I've reviewed this figure as well, mind you. I'll put the links in the description of this one, and that's what he looks like when he's displayed. So they go very well together. So the Frieza was the B prize, the Goku was the A prize, and together they look really, really cool. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. This was the Super Saiyan Goku SCultures Series 1 Ichiban Kuji.